What's a fact that you thought was true about the anatomy of the opposite sex, but later learned it was false? I always thought guys screamed when they came. I'm deaf. And in porn, especially porn designed for women which focus more on the dudes, they always have these super dramatic orgasm faces. I guess guys just open their mouths wide sometimes. I assumed they were letting out a blood-curdling scream. My first time having sex, I was in my parents' house and I covered his mouth as he finished because I thought he was going to yell and wake them up. He had to explain some stuff. Holy s, the idea that guys that fucking scream at the top of their lungs when they come. I can't stop laughing. May not necessarily be anatomical, but when it came time to give my first blowjob, I had no idea what to do. I thought the pleasure came from actually blowing on the dick. Needless to say, I put my mouth on it, puffed my cheeks up, and blew as hard as I could. I probably looked like Patrick Star trying to blow a bubble. The guy was like, I think you're supposed to suck it. Lesson learned there. Lol, in my defense, the term is extremely misleading. Thank God that ended up alright. A girl I know had an ambulance pull into her neighbor's driveway one day because of that. Turns out the son's girlfriend did the exact same thing you did, but she blew so hard that air went up into his urinary tract and caused something to tear. What the F? The horn of Helmhammerhand shall sound in the deep. One last time. Epic horn blowing. Don't tell the elf. I grew up in a religious family, and whenever they talked about circumcision at church, I thought they cut off the whole tip of the pea. I also thought this, and I'm a guy. I thought I was uncircumcised until I was in my late teens. I had assumed that circumcision meant that you had the top cut off, and I had seen a few limp uncircumcised ones and just assumed they had the top cut off. I thought that each ball had an individual sac. When I came face to face with my first ball sack, I was worried he had just one big one. Edit. No, I didn't stop and ask. But the guy noticed I had paused, so he asked about it afterwards. I said, I noticed you only have one ball sack, and there's a line on it. Did you have surgery to remove the other one? He asked me to explain, then there was a lot of laughing. All hail King Master Sack, the chosen one, our Lord and Savior. I read this like the Dalek, and I don't know why. Ejaculate. Ejaculate. Thanks for the nightmare. Okay, I'm a dude, and when I was 10 or 11 I was a super curious little dude. Had a friend say the word sperm one, and say that's where humans come from. So I looked up what it was in a medical book at the library. Only saw the picture. The little tadpole looking thing. I thought that's what came out. A tadpole, and it went inside the lady and grew. Yes. One illustration sized tadpole just wiggling out. Saw the pictures of the testicles. Okay. That's where they live. One in each ball. First time I masturbated and ejaculated, I freaked the F out. I thought my tadpole wasn't fully formed and I had just squished it out. Felt so good, but it was terrifying. I was 13. Soon after I learned their true size and was no longer scared of squished tadpoles. 'Twas a great time. How very studious of you to do your own research. It's actually adorable. Beats the hell out of guys doing research watching porn. When I was little I thought cum was really like watermelon seeds that came out. Thank God that's not the case. Bow. Wait, yours doesn't do that. You just cum kidney stones. I never experienced kidney stones, yet I physically ached at that thought. Didn't realize how low a V really is on a girl's body. I'm a woman, and I thought the opposite. I was quite shocked at just how high up the P is. Although the concept of sex made a lot more sense when I found out, lol. I thought sex involved the couple doing the splits then wiggling around. I guess I've seen some things. You're not exactly wrong. I didn't really know about growers vs showers until a guy in college surprised the hell out of me one night. I enjoy being a grower. Who cares how it looks if it's not go time? Am I right? I'm a grower, but I'd sure like a little more show. I'm average as grits when erect, but hung like an acorn when soft, like a mushroom in a cornfield, like a button on a fur coat, pressed rivet. I thought circumcision was getting rid of the whole P and installing a new one. Where does the new one come from? You get circumcised in pairs. And switch obviously. That sounds mildly gay. This thread is quite the argument for comprehensive sex ed LMAO. It honestly is. My high school didn't have proper sex ed. This was around 2006 BTW. We got that awful video of the lady giving birth to scare us away from having sex and the abstinence talk around 8th grade. By then, there were at least 6 students who had babies. Guys too. Quite a few STD scares. Plus one guy thought a period was just a dot of blood that girls got every month. That meant she was open for business, major eye roll. Another guy thought a period was just a girl peed blood once a month. A few girls thought putting Vinegar directly in the V made you tight again so they could fool doctors. It was a mess. We had health class that you took half a semester, but the sex ed chapter was majorly skimmed through. I had to watch that movie my first year of college for a psych class. I was engaged at the time and I came home after class and told my fiancé I didn't ever wanna give birth lol. Scarred me. I assumed the semen stayed inside the woman after a man came. Nope. It all floods back out. Worst part, at least for me, is that it doesn't always happen right away. So sometimes I shower after, put on some nice panties, and have them soaked with sperm an hour later. Yeah, deed's done, they've left. You have a shower, dress, then sit down for a coffee and splodge in clean pants. I didn't realize the pee can just move. I thought it stayed limp, hardened at arousal then went away. The twitches and jerks shocked me. Wait, that's not just a fanfic trope invented by horny teenage virgins? It's not. It's not every guy, but the majority of the ones I've slept with would twitch when they come. NGL. It's pretty hot when you feel the twitch inside you. Not just that, it's also possible to do it on command. My ex hated it when I did it inside, but her face always made me crack up. That's true too. Some guys can move it around more than others. When I was younger I thought the C was only the little button on top of the vagina. Turns out it goes deeper along the vulva walls. Dude, I didn't know this until now. Edit. Guess I didn't know because I'm 15 and a virgin. The G spot is actually the back of the clitoris. I thought penises had a little flap on the tip that fits inside the end of the condom. P knows bottom text. Bottom text really does complete this reply. My friend thought that because girls sat to pee, that they peed out of their butt. He said so out loud in a health class in high school. I thought that too as a child. I'm pretty sure I thought that women have sex and pee with the same hole like men do until I was in high school. I just assumed the whole thing was a giant hole like a second mouth, and it could automatically switch itself between the womb and bladder depending on the situation. Birds are like that. They also poop through that same hole. It's sort of an all-purpose utility hole. They lay eggs through it too. It's called a cloaca. Yeah, I saw it in a mirror. I thought the balls were also supposed to go inside. Heard the term balls deep a lot. LMAO, I can certainly see why someone would hear balls deep and think the balls were going deep rather than that he is so deep that they're at the balls. My sack connects halfway down the shaft. Balls deep has happened by accident when there's a lot of movement and a lot of lubrication. That men had one more ib than women. I may or may not have been raised Baptist. It's pretty ridiculous. I was told the same thing. But it's simple to prove wrong. I mean, to be fair, on those like crime shows they always said you can tell the difference between a male and female skeleton. So I only learned in like 6th grade it wasn't true. You actually usually can, but the main difference is in pelvis bone shape rather than rib count. Also shoulder broadness. I thought a guy's D was always the same size. Like, it didn't shrink or grow or anything. It just sort of laid there in the way when it wasn't being used. I knew the firmness would change, just not the size. Also, I didn't know there was hair on the shaft too. I've talked to some people who didn't know that there are shows and gross hyphens so it doesn't look like showers. Men are either showers or bath tubes. Not 100% anatomy, but I thought guys were able to immediately be ready for round 2 of 6 if the stimulus was there. Like, all men would orgasm, deflate, and in a few minutes be up and ready again because holy shit, hot naked sexy person wanting sex. And maybe some guys are. But not my guy. Poor dude is out of the running for at least 7 to 8 hours. Depending on who you deal with, men can absolutely do that. However, it does require some endurance, predisposition, or even training. Some of them do not even deflate and stay erect the whole time. Albeit the brief moment of hypersensitivity in the gland is unavoidable. So yeah, for the bravest and most endurant, you can have a round 2 after a minute or so. I'm not one of those. However, I do remember one time I was particularly horny and chained a second round just after cleaning out the first. This rarely ever happens. I know I'm not the only one of my friends that got cursed with that much horniness as well. Your guy could also try to train his endurance. That being said, I'd recommend that only if he wants it. You are correct. I'm one of those people. That moment of hypersensitivity is for long, but it doesn't stop me and it doesn't go down. Not that you're interested, but just to reinforce what you're saying with first-hand testimony, no pun intended I swear. Close bracket. You are a man of focus, commitment, and sheer fucking will.